Our next guests have combined progressive 70s rock with a jazz violin to create this incredible fusion sound.
Be the best true design. Be the best love of life.
If the voice sounds familiar, that's because it belongs to John Anderson, founder of and singer in Yes, who is partnered with violinist Jean-Luc Ponty to form the AndersonPonty Band. They both joined me. I did well on the name, did I not?
Very good.
Okay, so formerly a Brit, a French guy.
Yep.
Where was this consummated? In the Channel or something? How did this happen?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Actually, we met each other in '76 in Dallas, Texas. I was in Yes, and he was in my Vishnu Orchestra.
Uh-huh.
And we did a concert together, and I met him after the show, and we chatted a bit, you know. Then we met 10 years later in LA at a festival, and we still chatting away, saying, we should get together and make some music. Yeah, you always do that with musicians, you know. And then a couple of years ago, I heard him playing, and I just got in touch with him, and that was how we started playing together.
So when you saw each other in the 70s, what did you say? Let's do an album together in 40 years? Is that what you said, Jean-Luc?
Yeah.
I mean, that's better late than never. I assume that's what it means. That's the title of this great CD.
Because as John said in the 70s when we crossed paths, he said, we should do a project sometimes together. And I said, yeah, that would be a great idea, of course. Then 30 years later, I said, it's too bad we didn't do it sooner, to which John answered, well, yes, but better late than never, and we had the album title before we started.
How would you describe, we just heard a little piece of this, and I've listened to the whole CD, it's great, it's really great. I mean, obviously everybody knows they're really different genres. I don't think I have to describe to people. How would you describe the music you've created together, Jean-Luc?
Well, it's...
You can't look at him for the answer, you gotta say it.
No, but it's progressive music, and that's the affinity we had in our music. Jazz rock has some of similar elements to progressive rock, and that's why we could find a common musical ground to build on that. Plus maybe the culture, the interest, and the violin being very expressive, close to a voice.
It's like singing. I've heard him say that. It really does sound like
right.
he's singing.
He sings with the violin. It's incredible.
You know, it's also like, you're like owner of a Lonely Heart, which is one of my favorite songs of yours. It sounds like a totally new song. You opened with this incredibly beautiful violin thing, and then, well, we all know the melody. It's like a totally brand new thing, you know?
Well, you sort of updated, and all music has got to be updated now and again. You know, it's just fun to work with Jean-Luc because he's so adventurous.
Do you like each other? You appear to like each other a lot, yes?
Brothers from a different mother. You know? Well, the deal was my great-great-grandparents are from Brittany, and he originates from Brittany too.
Half Celt, so maybe that's the connection.
You think that's the deal? Does that matter? I mean, if you ever, I mean, we know about a lot of famous bands, like, I don't know what the relationships were in yours, where people hated each other. Does it matter if you like your bandmate?
Oh, you got to love what you do and love each other for doing it. That's basically
even if you don't really love each other?
Well, you know, with Yes, we loved each other a lot, and then we sort of like, okay.
Not so much.
But with Jean-Luc and me and the band, especially that he works with, are just incredible.
And you've worked with, everybody knows, with so many different, from classical to Frank Zappa to everything, Elton John. Do you have to like the people you're playing with to be as good as you are? Obviously not is the answer. What is the answer?
Well, I don't know. First, it's a mutual admiration, artistic, on an artistic level. Then you find out if you have enough affinity to like each other. So far we like working together. So far. We'll see in 40 years from now.
Yes, we will see. You know, you're a U.S. citizen now, is that right?
True.
Okay, your former prime minister said that Donald Trump is stupid and wrong. Your new mayor said that he is ignorant, divisive, and dangerous. As a U.S. citizen, what do you think of the guy who's running for the presidency?
It's like chaos, total chaos to me. Confusion, wonderful chaos, and who knows what's going to happen. We had an actor as a president.
From the state you now live in, right?
Yeah, Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, I heard of him. Yeah.
I know that guy.
Yeah. So how about you? You're not a citizen, right?
No.
Are you jealous that you can't vote in this election? It's the biggest thing anywhere, right?
Yeah, well... Yeah.
What do people in France think of the Trump candidacy?
It's divided. I don't know. I don't live in France all the time, so I don't know what. I think it's different. opinions.
You know, speaking of France, obviously terrorism, wherever it hits, is almost stupid to say, is absolutely unbelievably horrible. But hitting a music hall, I mean, obviously as it did in France, as we well know.
Yeah.
What's the spill? What's the impact? Is there a long impact? Did it unite people? What was the feel there?
Well, I think the majority of people want to keep living and show that they are not affected, their life is not affected. They don't want to show to terrorists that suddenly their life is totally upside down. But there is a lingering fear because we know it's going to happen again, and we don't. That's for sure, and we don't know when and where. So the future is very bleak.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, Peter Wolf was here, former Jay Giles band.
Of course, yeah.
And I said to him, I hope I didn't offend him. I said, so you're 70 years old, or whatever it was, 71 years old. Isn't there a point you can't do this anymore? And he looked back at me and almost poetically he said, did anybody ever say to Picasso that he can't do his art because he's old? Is there a point, I mean, you guys are not kids anymore. Do you say to yourselves, I can't believe I'm still doing this as well as I'm still doing this?
Yeah, but I know I'm going to get better and better. I just feel I'm going to get better.
Why?
Jean-Luc, you want to see this guy on stage just every night is pure magic, you know.
Are you the best you've been? Would you? I know you're probably too humble to say that. Are you better now or just different now than you were?
I think I'm better in my mind. I think I master music better than I ever did. And physically it's different. I mean, when I was young, you have that energy, but I still have it. I can still play. And as long as I can physically handle my instrument, then I'll go on.
Is he the best he's ever been?
I think so.
I think so.
By the way, in all seriousness, the CD is fabulous. Better late than never. Congratulations
Thanks,
on that,
Jim.
I should
Thank
say.
you.
John, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Jean-Luc, pleasure to see you too.